So welcome to round two of February Thursday Nighter. We're very lucky to have Nubair back again this week to commentate on the games. Welcome, Nubair.
Hello, guys. Yeah, hi. Good evening, everyone.
Yes, and
So yeah,
final comment. Yeah, we just have uh, the game's been going on for 2 hours. Just for anyone unfamiliar with the stream, so the round actually starts at 6:30, and so we do have 8 games tonight. Top four boards are the Premier section, and the bottom four are coming from the Open section. So yeah, with that, we'll get right into the games.
yeah, and we have a news that today Nathan is playing on two boats, and that's why he's so low on time against Connor. Let's just sneak into it and see what happens. What is happening? So it was okay. He maybe tried to play some kind of Sicilian with Nazarov or Dragon approach, but Connor ducked with c3, some kind of Alapin ideas. And yes, it's a well-known trap that we can never take here because of the check. Castles, knight c6, and whenever black plays knight c6, the threat is on. So now there's one more trap here, like for example, if black plays knight c6 instead of e6, d4 is there, and okay, whether you capture this or not, after you capture on e4, there's a b5, forcing you to move the knight, and once the knight moves, again the queen f4 check comes, and that is why this knight c6 is not good directly. That's why e6 was played. And now, okay, now the d4, d5, that doesn't work because of the capture, and which supports the knight. And now white does not get chance to play d4 directly.
Why can't he play d4 here?
Because just takes and knight e4. And now we don't have d5 because capture. And this is makes no sense because it's no check.
Didn't get time to play knight c3 yet, unfortunately.
Yeah. So now he has to play queen c2. Also, no time to get rook e1, bishop f1 stuff. So well played here by Hoover. And not sure about this move, how correct is this, because now he's threatening this. Maybe his idea is to just get the rook to c8. But what happens in this is you capture, and by the time you play rook c8, he gets knight c3. So he played rook c8 directly, threatening takes. But this definitely allows something like maybe not d5 yet because there are not so serious threats. But okay, pawn sacrifice is possible. But okay, white decided to keep it simple. Just capture, and go bishop f4. And now we can see the bishop is already feeling very, very awkward here. Very soon we will witness the rook coming to d1, knight jumping to these squares. Oops, white jumping to these squares, and the bishop is gonna feel awkward because the threats like knight d6, bishop d6, e5 are not pleasant for black. And if the bishop would have been on b7, then it would have been good. But okay, on the other hand, if the pawn is on b6, then the queen feels awkward. And okay, so this is the problem for black in this setup. If you play like bishop d7, rook c8, then yes, you need to fix the problem of bishop and queen later on. So he goes a6. So the idea is very simple. For knight a3, he wants b5.
Well,
Also possible to play.
Yeah, I was wondering. I would just autopilot a4 there. So he's playing a6 to play b5. So why not prevent it?
Absolutely, a4 is the first move which comes to my mind, and natural move. But here instead, Connor decided to blitz out h3. And we can already see by this time, Hoover has used like half an hour on the clock, down to 57 minutes. And okay, Connor just maybe thought for a minute here and went h3. So definitely not the right approach. b5 on the board, but this is also premature because now e4 is coming. Maybe something like bishop e7 would have been better, and once the knight goes to a3, you can castle. Sorry, once it goes to knight a3, you can play b5. Otherwise, you can continue, for example, just making castle and stuff. b5 4, and now simply counterplay. Again, like this was very, very obvious. my opinion. He could have gone takes 93, attacking the pawn. If the knight moves, simply go d1 or knight e5. Definitely makes the black pieces look a little bit awkward there. But instead, he went knight g2. Hard to understand what he wants, whether he wants b3 or some kind of slow maneuvering. And okay, black gets all the time. He castles. And okay, b4. Even if you take in such positions are more or less roughly equal.
So
Yeah, he took.
one quick question.
Even
So I guess if b5 wasn't even a threat, then why do we even really want to play a4 earlier? You know, like I love playing a4 to prevent b5, but if b5 is a mistake because you're going to reply with a4 anyways, maybe Connor was correct here.
yeah, but the point is when the pawn is on b7, a4 does not harm anything. Like it does not attack any pawn structure. It's only a4 is only being played to put knight on c4. But here, okay, after a4, the pawn is being attacked. The a6 is weak, so you have got some weakness to defend. And after, if you push, forget about the pawn. Let's say it's not hanging anymore. You also create a hole on c4. So it's like a double problem, double trouble. After if you play b5 directly. So that's why he has to play this c4. And here it was very simple for white to just capture and go knight a3, and it's bad. Like if you play knight e5, there's knight e5. If you play queen b6 or something, there's a bishop e3, rook d1. And okay, also there's a b3. So for example, takes, and the pawn is again in trouble. Okay, we do have this move at the moment. But anytime, whenever white wants to break things, he can just go b3 or something. Or go rook d1, bishop e3, knight d4, knight e5, or e5, some sacrifice. Or he can also try to put rook like this and do something. So it gives white a lot of chances.
One more question. So kind of this e4 against e6 pawn structure where white has good control over e5, so he's kind of preventing black from playing e5. Is that kind of represent a good space advantage? Because even though it feels kind of indirect, like we don't actually have the space, but black also still feels cramped with e6, and like they can't play e5.
Yeah, definitely this gives white advantage or upper hand when the structure is like this. And that is why it is important that black always develop the bishop from the b7 diagonal so that he has some pressure on the e4 pawn and the pawn always remains defended, and other benefits as well. Like you can challenge rook in the d file at some point. You can simply put your queen on b6 or something. But okay, in this position, there are lots of problems. But okay, I think he managed to solve by thinking a lot. Like he burned almost an hour by this time, down to 27 minutes. And Konrad just used 5 minutes. And now I'm wondering what if he goes bishop e3, maybe he'll just go back and try to equalize. So knight d4 was played, bishop c5, rook b1. So definitely this is not the right approach. You go b1, then you go d1. But yeah, if you get a pawn, maybe why not? Can he play b4? Then there's a bishop e3.
Wait, so what was black's response to rook d1? I kind of missed that.
He played bishop c5.
So does that, if you just played rook b1 directly, would that, I mean, does provoking bishop c5 change anything?
No, he played rook d1 long back, like he played rook d1 here.
Got it.
Thinking that, okay, there will be some kind of a discord attack after some moves, or sometime at c4, but the bishop is not going anywhere. So it's not really something you put rook. Maybe he could have directly played b3, and as you said, just try to be a tempo up. But instead he wasted a move because he was not thinking at all. And after thinking for the first time around here, he realized that okay, now he needs to improve pieces, rather put attack on the b5 pawn, and he started with remaneuvering the pieces, and then got rook to b1. I was wondering if b4 was possible, because after take we do have this move and some problems. And if he doesn't take, then black is actually threatening to take because the d2 is hanging. Like you do have queen d2, but bishop b6, rook b6, and then d2 hangs, and a5 is hanging. Then knight e4, rook c1 ideas are there. So it wasn't possibility, but okay, he went rook a8. Like he used all his time. He down to 7 minutes, down to 3 minutes. Right now in the current position, he's down to 1.5 minutes, and he has lost a pawn.
Yep, this is brutal. This is how Connor. He's pretty good at endgames too. So I got a feeling Nathan is going to focus on his other game pretty soon here.
Yeah, this is falling because there's no rook b8 idea. The bishop is there. You cannot do much here. I think this is going to be in the favor of.
Well,
But okay, there's one possibility: bishop b5. If he cannot play this, f2 hangs. So queen b5, bishop b4. But the sad part is he can even simply play this move. Apart from this, the point is the knight is. I mean, you cannot really take the pawn because the knight is hanging, and this knight is protected. So I think this is going to be in victory for Connor. Maybe he could have tried b4. Maybe this also loses, but at least he has some tactical chances on this because you attack the weakness. And we never know what happens. After. Maybe he just goes back and you get a chance to play rook b8. So maybe he could have tried this. Wait, is there any kind of rook f5 here? I do have bishop d4. The point is if you take with queen f5, there's a pawn takes pawn. And okay, we do have bishop d4 still, so maybe it's just not working. As queen d4 after queen moves, e5 there's knight d5. So not a problem, I believe. Maybe you could have tried b4. Just try to complicate things.
So rook takes knight is required there?
No, not really. It's not, I mean, it's working for black, so maybe. And the problem for white is like he cannot play knight f3 or something. The e4 hangs and stuff like that. So not easy to move any. I mean, the current position, for example, let's have a look at the current position. So in this position, what we can say is all the pieces are well placed for white. Like the knight is well placed. It's not allowing bishop to capture. If the knight is also defending the e4 pawn, the bishop prevents rook b8 ideas. The rook is in the open file. This rook and queen are in the open file and attacking some weakness. So everything in white's position is well placed, and it's hard to improve anything. Those tactics are not yet working for white, I believe. And if you even push pawns, then the enemy attacks you. Whereas for black, okay, you can still make some improvement, but again, it's not so clear what's happening here.
It's drawn some white arrows. I think maybe you have auto arrows in your settings. Check that menu to your bottom right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, uncheck. Yeah, exactly. And uncheck that. Perfect. And uncheck best move arrow. Perfect.
Yeah, sure.
All right. That's you can leave engine on if you want, but your choice.
Yeah.
Right,
so
thank you. Sorry about that.
Yeah, so maybe he could have tried b4 and that was his best chance, but in the game, oops, sorry. We witnessed bishop takes b5 and maybe who were lost on time. It shows 1-0. Or maybe he was just trying to save another game over here in the open section.
Let's jump to his other game just to see the status, because that could have affected some of his. Oh, and he's already. So Nathan's done.
He has already won the game here. Yeah, so he won one game to lose another one.
Yep.
So you take one, give one. Not so bad.
Yep, we do usually get a little bit more interesting game out of Nathan in the premiere section, but it looks like just tanks in the opening, trying to figure out how to develop, and kind of because of the time issue at the end, dropped a pawn, and kind of converted from there.
But indeed, a very well played game by Connor here. More or less clean game. I think we have got some results. Let's give shout out to them, and then we'll go jump to the live boards. We have got 4 more results. let's maybe have a look at the games and discuss about them, and then we'll jump to the live boards. So we have got who were playing in the open section, beating Jeremy, and here he played d4 or the queen's pawn opening, which later got converted into Budapest gambit. And usually the people play knight f3 or bishop f4. But here we see unusual queen d5.
I didn't know Jeremy had the gambit streak in him. I usually see Budapest coming out of Nathan himself or maybe Robert, but it's good to know. I got to watch out for Jeremy throwing out these gambits too.
Yeah, and surprise, early surprise by Nathan. Bishop b4 check, knight c3, knight c6, knight f3, okay, queen e7, bishop f4. And basically he just went all out to defend the d5, e5 pawn, like he went queen d5. It's like no pawn back for you. If you want to sacrifice, you sacrifice by playing f6. He took on c3 and went queen a3. Little bit of ambitious approach, I would say.
At a glance, this seems good for white to me, but I don't know much about it.
Yes, definitely good for white. The only question is whether he would have just come back some of the squares, maybe d3, and this would have been better. Like queen b2, you just move, and then if he captures, then you have got this move and something like that. But instead, he just went rook c1. Not, it's like take this if you want to keep it, keep it. I simply have h3, and the knight has to go here. You capture, and this looks terrible for black. d6, h3. And yes, we did. This happened in the game, but he did not take on h6. Instead, he went knight d4, which is also a good idea. Maybe the point is after takes, yes, the structure definitely gets ruined, but you also get a new weakness instead of queen attacking the rook.
That's already feeling, to me, that's already feeling a little loose. Like, I don't want to just let my rook hang there for too long because I just got to worry about it.
And now the threat is very simple. You just want to check, and if bishop b7 and knight b5, and it's game over. This is what happened in the game, and I think easy game here for Boer. Okay, now black just trying to do some tactical stuff. There's a bishop g5 as well available. Simply queen is also going inside.
Okay, so wait, but bishop g5 f6, the queen and bishop, that doesn't matter.
Yeah, like many moves are winning. Like e3, you play bishop g5, you play. I was wondering why not bishop g5, because I think it's okay. Maybe king c8 and nothing much yet.
But when the queen was attacked, okay. You said bishop g5 was also an option, or?
Yeah, he played e6 and then bishop g5. But I'm still wondering if he goes like this, he has got this move. And if he goes here, maybe he'll just go there and sacrifice another rook to capture the bishop. Okay, should be losing. But instead, okay, he just went for a queen threat.
Yeah.
Which is also a fair decision. You are up a rook.
Plus, I'm looking at my king side, and I'm just like, I'm not comfortable with my king undeveloped. Just want to get that dealt with.
Yeah. And then the knight is a bit of trapped here. But he found a tactic, takes on rook a1, making it further miserable for black. Maybe he could have even captured this to make it even worse. Okay, captured everything, and okay, here Jeremy decided to resign as he was down a rook with king and poor piece placement.
Yes, I feel like Jeremy kind of, he's playing the high-rated player and probably worried about getting ground out in an endgame or something, so kind of lashed out. But Nathan was actually able to use that development to put a lot of pressure on him and then eventually kind of get a tactic against his overextended queen. So that's one strategy to try to upset a high-rated player. I kind of personally think it's better to maybe play a little bit dry to start, make the high-rated player take a little bit of risk, and then kind of switch it on, because I would never want to give a higher rated player this much activity myself. But it does make it a double edged game, and maybe you actually know more.
So for today, the gambit didn't work out for Jimmy. Maybe next time he can just push upon one square and play the traditional Lemzo Indian or Queens Indian. But definitely not Budapest against Nathan, because he has got some ideas there and he looked in good shape in this opening. All right, let's jump to the shortest game or the first game which ended today, which was between Jacob and Mish Ross.
Perfect. Mitch is channel viewer, and then I saw we just had Jacob's mom subscribe, so looking forward to the analysis on this game because yeah, definitely got 2 channel viewers.
Yeah, new players, guys. Let's have a look. New opening. And I always say like d5 is not a good opening. If your opponent plays e4 or c4, guys, do not play d5. It's just bad to get your queen out on move 2. If your opponent plays d4, okay, d5 is absolutely fine. But if your opponent plays like this, to try not to playing this d5. I know you want to play d5. That's your favorite move, but try putting your one of these pawns and then d5. That would make a better defense.
So just quick question because we all know it's just as hard. It's hard enough coming up with openings against e4 and d4, much less c4. It kind of always gets put on the back burner, especially if you're lower rated, just figuring out your repertoire. So how do you decide, what moves are playable against 1c4 and actually kind of okay? And how do you decide which one to pick based on, maybe what other openings you play?
So yeah, so 1c4 is not that challenging as compared to 1d4, e4, and that's why being played little less than compared to the central pawn moves. For a very simple reason, because black can play e5 and then he gets a central control. So this is one of the main lines. If black just wants to equalize, you just copy white and it's equal. If you want to fight for the center of d5 square, you either play c6, e6, and you go for d5. This is also equal. If you want to play knight f6, some traditional lines or the Grunfeld setup, or Queen's Indian, Nimzo Indian, converting into some kind of Indian defense, you can play knight f6. And more or less, honestly speaking, all of the lines, whether you play c6, e5, c6, e5, or develop your knight, all of them equalizes.
So what I'm noticing is I'm not seeing anything touching the d pawn.
Yeah, I mean, it's better not to touch d pawn because you cannot play d5 and d6 is not good. You just block your bishop. So maybe if you want to go d5, you can go d5, but first you need to put some guys on these squares to have some protection. Right, so when he captures, you can capture back with the pawns.
Yeah, my current choice is I play c4, knight f6, and I just try to transpose to my d4 prep the best I can. And my future strategy, which will take a lot of work, but I do plan to adopt c4, e5 eventually. Play that reverse Sicilian.
Yeah. So especially the guys who play 1e4 as wide, for them I would just recommend to go e5, and it's the same position which you play in 1e4, and it's a Sicilian or a reverse Sicilian. So you can play those, and for those who does not play king pawn openings, they can simply they play their d4 reporter. For example, they play d4 and f6, just play d4 and f6. If they play Slav, go c6, d5. They play Queen's Gambit, Ragozin. You can play e6, d5. They play Grunfeld. Once Swidler said the best way to play Grunfeld is get c5 here, and then you try to play like this, and then d5 at some point. So the recommended model by Swidler is c5 because he's one of the experts of Grunfeld. But also you can start with knight f6 and transpose later into your favorite line, whether it's Nimzo, Queen's Indian, or some kind of a Grunfeld. And okay, if you play King's Indian, honestly speaking, does not matter. You play this move, this move, this move, or this move first. Because anyway, you're going to play this 4 moves next.
Last thing that's kind of funny here to me is I play in my online blitz games. I get a lot of c4, knight f6, knight c3, e6, and then they play e4. They're like, "Gotcha! You're not allowed to play knight f6, e6. I can play e4." But for some reason here, I play d5. I know it's supposed to be good for white, but I have great win rate here. So they're like, it's kind of funny position to me. I feel like they're always like, they play e4 so quickly, like, gotcha. But I'm like, okay, I don't care.
So this is another line which one needs to know if they play Nimsranjan and if your opponent plays c4. So this is the only way from, okay. So now basically black is threatening to play d5 and equalize instantly like he does in Queen's Gambit. And okay, if they play d4, it just transposes to Nimsranjan. So here white is not left with much choice. He can, either he has to play e4 or go knight f3. Knight f3 will also probably transpose into Ragozin defense. And if he plays something like e3, b3 like Hikaru does, then it's not really something great. It's just equal, but you get a game as white. And okay, but black has center control, so it's a game basically. But black has neutralized the pressure. So only way to fight for white remains is the e4, and this was quite popular around a decade ago, where people were finding new ideas in this, trying to play some kind of a e5. But then knight e4 is there, and okay, there are a lot of lines after this. You can play d3, knight f3, and black usually gets like this, c5, knight c6, and you need to know some lines, some moves, and it's more or less equal after some moves. And we have seen some interesting games in e5, d4, you capture, black captures back. No, not much point in capturing this because it will be just equal, takes, and then black will capture back. So it is a 0.00 endgame. And if you play bc3, queen f6, we saw some interesting ideas in this line by Aronian as white. Like there are 2-3 moves here, like you can play d4, there's knight f3, there is a h4. Usually d4 followed by h4 with the idea of some bishop g5 or knight f3. So we have got 2-3 options here for white, and it's another interesting game.
I get this position a fair amount, and then I go for knight c6, e5 fast, which is totally anti-me. I usually don't like to break in the center until my king is safe, but I guess, you know, I looked at the games, and if I'm still in prep, I'll do it.
Yeah, that's the right approach. You try to break the center and open up your pieces.
But it feels a bit scary breaking in the center with that king still on e8, bishop undeveloped.
Yeah, because this is the only problem in black's camp, and if you try to get rid of the bishop, if you bring the bishop out, then black is absolutely fine, or even may get better very soon, because this is some kind of a weakness.
And I did play c4, c5 for a very long time, but I actually ended up not liking it eventually because I just felt like white was way too comfortable. Like it was their home, you know, it was the position they wanted to play. They were just loving it. So I don't know. That's basically, and I feel like when I'm playing c4, knight f6, they're tanking way more often. They're way less comfortable.
Absolutely. When you develop knight first, you give more flexibility to push your pawns and something like this. When you play c4, c5, first of all, you commit that you are playing a symmetrical English. And then, okay, so in this, the game goes slow. Like the pace of the game remains slow because it's a slow opening. And okay, we could see people even playing here like g3, a3, bishop g2, knight f3. Some people playing e3, d3. And whatever white plays, like it's just another line. Like it's just another playable line. There's no line which gives advantage here, irrespective of you. Whatever move you play, like I showed 5 moves or maybe 6 moves. And it's just equal. Like it's a slow moving game, and you have to keep on playing positional moves, and the guy who's better at this art outplays the opponent. So if you're a slow player, you like close positions, then only I think you should go for something like this. Otherwise, you should just try to play what you play against d4. Is my recommendation to all the people out there.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that kind of sub lesson on 1c4. We all appreciate that.
And definitely, this is the only mistake you can make. So Bob takes, and the problem here is like, even at least in e4 d5 you have got this chance to play, you know, e4 d5 takes and the knight f6, and it's a very well known fact that after c4 black can play c6 and have some compensation. But in case of a c4, this is not even possible. We don't need to discuss why like queen d5 is bad, right, in any of the lines, because simply knight c3 comes. And here the problem is there is simply e4. And now there is no knight d4 because of the simple tactic.
And
And
if
this
you
is game over already for black.
and if you play queen takes, they would just kind of play knight c3, get almost an improved version of Scandi with two center pawns, or what?
Yeah, so white just gets extra two moves. Like first white is up a move because it's wide, then the queen comes and then goes back. So he gets extra two moves at least. White gets center control as well. And he could have even just started d4, e4 instantly, putting more pressure here. But instead, Jacob likes probably to play a slow game, like he's an English player, so he tried to play in this spirit of the opening. Look, he can play again d4, but okay, if you like this setup, we cannot do much.
Yep, I think Jacob's showing
Okay.
he's a King's Indian player. I wouldn't be surprised to see him play some d6, g6 as black.
Eventually pushing the pawn, and the moment he does, he gets a piece. Now, there are two ways in which white could win a piece. One is, of course, just to attack, just make the double trouble thing, or we can also play knight g4, and pieces are hanging here.
And that's like what looks like that's what happens. So I think
Yeah, he just
what
got a
Mitch
piece.
Mitch probably missed here is, just seeing that these bishops are x-rayed against each other. You don't really think it's hanging. You think, okay, as soon as that knight moves, I can play bishop takes bishop, intermezzo, save my bishop. But the problem is, you get another intermezzo to play knight takes knight check, um, and then because those bishops are x-rayed on f4 and d6, then bishop d6 is actually loose, and so then all you had to do is harass away the queen and make sure as soon as the queen doesn't maintain contact with bishop d6, he could execute that knight takes g4 tactic. So it wasn't trivial, but you know, looking at that time usage by Mitch, you definitely got to think a little bit more.
And Mish played everything
First
very,
and
very
foremost.
fast. Like he had 1 hour, 31 minutes. And here, unfortunately, whatever he plays, he loses material because, wait, queen b4, I thought initially there's a knight d3, but luckily there's a queen takes d4. But probably this will also lose material, as I say, like there will be something e3 at some point, but right now it's not coming. There's no tactic. I'm surprised.
Let's
There's a knight b5, but
let's
it's
back up
not
just
so great.
a tiny bit too, because I want to kind of maybe show where Mitch maybe should have shifted into damage control mode, because I feel like he kind of got behind in the opening and he kept playing ambitiously, and then he got punished. So
Yeah, he could have just played e5 here instead of e6. Like, okay, if your opponent is not taking center control, makes total sense to play directly e5, and okay, he's fine here. There's no bishop f4, there's no knight e5, there's no danger, and it's a game. But instead, he played e6, and everything started to go wrong from here. Like, he attacked the bishop. He did not save the bishop. He could have saved the bishop. He goes bishop d6, attacking the knight and almost forcing white to play d4. Now, whatever he plays, the piece hangs, and there was a queen b4, an interesting idea, for
but
which I still did not find anything better than this exchange sacrifice to win a rook.
even maybe back up to bit when he played bishop g4, because I feel like that even is a bit. I mean, he wanted to get outside the chain, but
Maybe
didn't he already get a tempo on his queen at that point?
maybe this also wins. I have just found one new idea. So a3, and again this doesn't work. So you must capture, and the idea now is to play knight f4. This is not hanging. Important thing to note. Now black must play this kind of a queen b5, and here again white has simply knight g4, winning a piece. So probably after e6, or let's say after queen c5, knight e5, if you do not move the bishop, black is just lost, especially if you play bishop d6 or something. That was the final mistake or the blunder, and after this, it's game over.
But so, but earlier on when he kind of right at the moment he played bishop g4, that's what I'm the last moment I'm curious about.
This was needed.
But just like super early on, because did you have to play bishop g4 even? Because that already feels slow to me. Like it feels like you want to. Okay, I'm the opening to me. If I'm black, I feel like the opening's already gone wrong. I mean, uh, I recaptured my queen. My queen got kicked around. He got a free piece of knight development, and so now I'm kind of just realizing I'm gonna be worse, and I want to just get my king castled as quickly as possible. Is my usual thought process. I don't know what you think of that, but I feel like I just be thinking about e6, even though I know I'm gonna have a bad bishop. or e5, I guess, but I don't know. But maybe I'm
Honestly
just being
speaking,
not. Go ahead.
yeah. So honestly speaking, the position is bad for black, and the best thing to do is not play d5 on move one if your opponent plays c4. But okay, here you can try c6, e6, g6, and try to somehow defend this. But definitely not bishop g4. If you play bishop g4, then you should try to get this e5 asap. But if you do not play e5 here, then I think white has given you so many chances already to make a comeback. And if you don't do, then you lose. And we saw a game ending like this. And Mish got checkmated on move 31. Okay, let's just jump to, there are two games which are going very, very interesting. One is in the
Sure.
premier section, where ED is down to a minute and a half.
All right, this is on
And
camera too.
uh, and we have one more game between Vincent playing against Darrell, which is also Vincent's down to down to minute, and his king is subjected to crazy attack. Which one to follow?
Let's
The
go.
camera one?
Let's do board two, yeah, because we can still see them
Yeah.
on camera. And okay, we got a major piece in game.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing black's up two pawns. That doesn't seem ideal for white, but maybe a little bit of activity against that king, and he does that time edge. Look, black has extra material, but he has a lot less time playing on increment.
Well, I could see a resignation coming in one move. Like if you place queen c2, there's a rook d1 threat. But just now I found if you play queen c2, there's a beautiful rook g7. And after king g7, there's a queen f6. But I'm really wondering if he goes here, if this works. And if this works, then it's so nice, so great. This is just beautiful. The point is after take, there's a queen f7 check, and then you get the rook again. Or you can just make a draw.
Might as well at that point when being down.
Or queen f7 small, and again some problems.
But the e pawn could actually be dangerous in the queen endgame.
Yeah, so it will be just a draw, even though white is down material, because the king would be weak after rook g7. So the move which looks very, very obvious is not winning in this position because of the tactical shot. And AD figured it out and played queen d2. Maybe now he just wants to trade queens and win in the endgame.
Okay, and so why is it breaking the shot so badly now? Just because
And now the rook is
the rook's protected. So okay.
Yeah, so you just capture, and king can go here, and that's all.
Yeah. I do have a saying I like when I'm solving puzzles. It's always rook takes g7. You know, for some reason it just always feels right. But very common tactical motif. So good. Both these guys are sharp. And yeah, Eddie playing on increment, he actually still rarely blunders. He doesn't have good time use, but once he gets down to increment, he doesn't increase his blunder frequency a ton. So he's used to it.
That was really great you found this idea and not blundered this, because it's sometimes it's very obvious you're low on time and you miss certain ideas. And many times you think, okay, rook g7, okay, king h8, and okay, I'm winning. And then you realize there's a beautiful rook at 7, double exclam, and white survives. To understand this game better, let's have a look at it from the beginning. So Blomma, John is the white player in the premier section playing board 2.
So John reinventing himself because he was a 1d4 player for a long time. I think he was taking up some 1e4, and now we're seeing 1g3.
And okay, basically it's trying to duck the openings and trying to get a fresh position, right? Let's put it like this. And okay, he then played c4, just random stuff, one move here, one move there, just trying to get opponent off prep. He could have played something else as well, but okay, he decides to go like this. So this is some kind of what we call it, reverse dragon, without pawn being here. So not that bad for white.
Like knight takes c3 is antipositional, but is that theory or?
Yeah, the problem is if you play e5 directly, the knight e5 tactic, and the knight hangs, so the bishop joins the attack. And if you capture like this, okay, there are two moves, and knight 6 usually wins. Knight d1, knight e8, and white is up a pawn because he captured first. So for that reason, as you cannot play e5, usually by this time, if the position is normal, I mean, this is reverse Sicilian, right? Reverse dragon from white side. But if this is normal dragon, then the pawn is already on e5, and there's a move called bishop e6. But now, as there is no e5 option bishop, and black cannot make two moves in one, so he has to capture on c3 and then play e5. Again, e5 is important because if you castle, then he plays d4.
So Eddie's showing good understanding here. Eddie's pretty good at openings too, even though he plays everything under the sun. He seems to really know his stuff.
Yeah, so far so good, and it was also good for white until white decided to come back. Like for the first time, Eddie tried to give some threat. Honestly speaking, for knight d4, there's nothing really harmful. You can just come back to d1, worst case. But here, maybe you can try to find some better square for queen. Like here, I don't know where exactly, but he needs to find something like, or even rook c1. Just no need to fight any square. And okay, if it does like this, just come back. And you trade the bishop, and okay, you trade knights, you trade bishops, and okay, it's at least not worse. But if you come back like this, it's not good.
Yeah, I feel like we're seeing a passive knight out of white players playing on their third rank.
Yeah, it's easy for black to play maybe a 5 at some point, but instead white himself plays a 4, weakening his king. And yeah, so far very nice positional game from Eddie. This is too anti-positional. You should never take knight like this. The knight is good, but your bishop is also good. Once you give your bishop, then you will not have control over dark squares. So this is the technical point here. He went for the bishop, captured something, trying to simplify or neutralize the pressure. But this is not going to work, as now black has got a good bishop. And the plan is also very, very simple. He'll just try to make double, triple in DE file and try to attack the weaknesses of white. And that's what happened. And eventually led to losing a pawn.
Yeah.
This is not possible, guys. It's blunder. So always look out for the last move of your opponent. Yes?
So what I'm wondering is if John kind of gave up with rook d1 because he just got kicked with bishop g4 instantly.
The problem was with rook d1, and when you try to get rook f3, there's bishop g4. And after rook d1, yes, like bishop c4, you can play rook f3, but queen e4 takes. Okay, it works. But then you don't have any good move here as white. Like how to make progress further. Like you can also move the rook to some square. There's this problem. This might be hanging someday. Maybe black can just play b5 and gain some more space, maybe at 6. So basically, it is a tough position for white, and he blundered in the end. He got a pawn, and let's just go to the live position where we saw these ideas. And the idea was simply to make a queen trade. So he decides to gamble, give one more pawn. Now ED is 3 pawns up. Sorry, 3 pawns up. 3 healthy pawns up. Rook d1 is coming next. Exchanges queens. And okay, very soon this game will end in this fashion.
Wow, nice play by Eddie.
Or yeah, very nice, perfect game. He can also try to bring the king. It's up to him. When b5, b4 is straightforward if he likes this approach.
Yeah, even building some time with his increment up to a minute and a half now. It's got luxury for Eddie. He can do it with 20 seconds.
Yeah, there's an increment of 30 seconds, and it's a rook end game where you are materially up. There are no threats by your opponent. Your rook is active. This one is passive. I think the best move is just to create a pass pawn as up. But okay, there are all the moves in. Apart from this, all the moves are winning for black in this position. That great is the
Yeah, so
black's position.
he could do rook b1, rook b3, or else he could just play b5, b4, right?
Anything, bring king from like this, bring king from this, because he has got majority on both sides. Like there's only 1 versus 3, so ideal is of course to bring king this side. But also if you see he has got majority on this side, he has got 2 versus 3. So any plan is fine. You try to attack this, or you try to create pass directly, or you try to do something to these people. Whatever you do, everything is correct. Or you can even play like this. So everything for just is just good for black. Yeah, he goes for the straightforward approach.
Yeah, I feel like these approaches of like, I'm going to try to surprise my opponent. It's hard in modern chess. It's because, hey, all these guys have played a lot of blitz games, and everyone tries to do the same thing in blitz games. So they've seen this stuff. They've seen Budapest. They've seen white try to play passive with g3, d3. They know how to handle it. It's just you're not really giving them your best shot just by trying to surprise them. I feel like playing for surprise value is just a little bit overrated. You just gotta pick your area and lean in, play ambitiously, especially with the white pieces. But there's a lot of approaches, of course.
And here I'm not really happy with his approach. Like, I mean, as I said, everything wins, but why you're trying to play something like a4 and something, you could just play b4 next move and, just push them. Like, you're just winning on the spot. Instead, he went a4, and now it's very hard to create a connected pass pawn, because whenever you will push b4, you'll capture. And it's not easy to capture this pawn because the king will always protect it. And if, something goes wrong, you may lose pawns. But okay, he has got some interesting idea. He just wants to maybe play a3 and get the king, and to a4, and then maybe go rook b2. But definitely not the right way. Now he's simply threatening. Oh, no, this is not good. This is not good. Now he's simply threatening to give a check and go behind the pass pawn. Luckily, as I said, even if he plays like this, he will still win it, because so many weaknesses in white's camp. But definitely not the right way to convert, giving some chances to white to tie down things.
So that time pressure showing.
Or maybe he relaxed a bit. He's like, everything wins. I have got 2 extra pawns on the queen side, 1 extra pawn on the king side. He cannot really move his king. This hangs. So maybe he's like chilling out there a bit.
Yeah, it still feels like he's on the way here.
Still, it will win, but it's going to take some time. So until then, let's have a look at the game in the open section, where Vincent...
Yeah, Eddie probably just wants to enjoy a little bit more time at the tournament hall. Doesn't want his game to end too early.
Yeah. Right. Well, come back to Eddie's game. But what happened here? This game is not moving forward? Did he design here after this? Because this is coming for sure.
It says Vincent flagged. Look at his clock.
Okay, so we don't have update on this board because
but
the time to 0.
Usually, a lot of times when that happens, though, there's a DGT error. It's not actually. So he either flagged or there's DGT error that stopped the game.
Probably the game is, maybe they made some moves or some piece fell there, and it's a DGT error. Well, h3 trying to defend pawns and not allowing king to enter.
Yeah, I feel like we can come back to this one, because this is, even though Eddie's making it interesting, it seems like pretty much it's going to be a conversion.
And one idea could be to get king f5 and h5, h4, trying to break there. But the problem in king f5 is he can always go to k7 and attack those pawns. He has to again go back, he gives a check, you have to play f6, then he'll again attack the pawn, and you really need to work there to get out of this, or sacrifice at the right moment to get the pawns and then start pushing. So some work needs to be done there. And now he's going back. Again, some checks will be given.
Yeah. So
This is not good.
can we just do that plan of put your king on g6, play f6 to stop the checks, and then just play b4 and take the kingside pawns and use my three passers.
Yeah, so maybe the right time to do it is,
So now I just play b4 now, and if he plays check, I'm gonna play f6.
yeah, now he must capture. And now the point is, I wanted the pawn on f6 always because, okay, there's also rook bg3 and you just capture, and doesn't matter, this pawn gets pushed a little bit and you just put your rook behind the pawn, and by the time he does something, you already reach h3, h2, and you win anyways. But what I wanted to do, honestly, is just to play this. And now my idea is very simple. I wanted the rook b3 next, irrespective if you capture or not. And okay, I'll just win those pawns.
Yeah. Okay.
But now what happens is there's a check. Okay, it still wins. Doesn't matter actually because the pawns are very, very big. The king is far away from them to defend. So it wins easily. But if the pawn is on f6 in the same position, white can just resign. So let's just put it like this. Okay, so let's put it like this. Let's make some moves. And at some point, okay, white goes to rook a7, preventing this. And now imagine b4 coming in. So just the capture. No point playing king somewhere, anywhere rook b3. So you must capture, and now rook b3. And you capture both the pawns.
Yeah, I like that. Take the b pawn. No reason to give yourself a headache over that thing. And then go win the kingside pawns. Okay.
So this is one of the simplest plan he could make. And now wait a sec. If he plays king d6, does the position get repeated for third time in a row? By any chance? Because I think it's a draw. No, but then he played h3 here. So this is the first position. Let's say rook a6 check if he gives. No, but the rook is on a8 in this.
That's an interesting strategy. I feel like you can always claim it. I mean, or just once. If you really think it happened, just claim it, because if it's a false claim, your opponent's just going to get a little extra time on their clock. And if it actually is a threefold, it's a draw. Game's over.
It's not threefold. I'm talking about the photographic or the photogenic draw. So, but the problem is initially the rook was on a8 and now the h3 is the difference. So it is not the same position. There's a difference. So maybe this we can claim here after f6. 1. Okay, so no, it's all over. So we repeat. Let's just check once. So he played h3 here, and king f6, but then the rook was on a8, and now he gives check from a6, and the king is not on g6. So yeah, so this is not even a second time because initially the rook was on a8 when last time he played king to g6. As we can see here on move number 52, 53, let's say, the rook is on a8 and not on a7. So this is not second time even. So, and how many times he gave check? Once he gave check from a6, second time he gave check from g6. So no, it just looked like it was repetition or photogenic, but AD was just getting time.
Have you ever seen in a tournament somebody in a dead last position able to get a draw from three repeats?
Yeah, I remember like many times this has happened throughout my career. Many times in many winning positions, I have claimed photogenic draw. My opponent has claimed photogenic draw, or it happens here and there, especially in rapids, because you don't, or not really rapids, but let's say when you're playing on DGT boards, you can always claim them. And many times you just try to play something, you want to gain time, some increment on the clock, and you miss that. It was photogenic. So,
and that's pretty impressive that you've claimed it and had it claimed against you, because I feel like it's common to happen, but it's not that common that the players are skilled enough to realize it happened and claim it properly in the moment.
Yeah. Like once I was down at 2 pawns in the rook game, And okay, I was playing an IM, and he just accidentally gave some check because he could not find a way to improve further. And when the position has come once before, somewhere ago, some 5 moves ago, and then he repeated 2 times. And I was alert to just claim it because I remember the position very well, and I was completely lost. And the game was on DGT, so I could just simply claim it. Because if the game is not on DGT, someone needs to record the game or write a score sheet to claim such things. There's one more incident where I was playing a grandmaster from Russia, and like it was a middle game, like we repeated 4 or 5 times, and he was not accepting a draw or something. So just claim it and get it done.
Got it. So
Once
it was already technically a
like
draw,
8
but
months or
he actually made you claim it. And usually in that situation, they just agree.
yeah, but sometimes we have all kind of players, So, and once I was the 3 pawns up against a grandmaster, completely winning game. Like it was just like this position, where I showed you this, yeah. So I just told, yeah, for example, it was that kind of position where any move you make as a black, you win except this move. It was that kind of position. Like I was completely winning this much in one queen end game. And there some checks came, and I tried to gain some time, and it was photogenic. So it happens. Like sometimes it happens to you. Sometimes you get benefited. Sometimes you lose points or drop points, half a point here and there. So we need to be alert when doing this.
All right, should we check out board 3?
Yeah, let's go to it. The update is he played h5, h4, and probably b4 at some point. Let's move forward to board number 3, where Thomas is playing against Toffee.
All right. Got Torfy against National Master Thomas Babcock. Be interesting to see
Yeah,
how this one played out.
yeah. So Toffee is white, and sorry if I'm pronouncing it wrong, but Babcock Thomas is black here.
Bird is the word.
Okay. So it is Bart's opening.
Yep. We got a reverse Dutch now.
Yeah.
All right, he's gonna bishop g4. Yeah. Guess not.
And and then miscellaneous moves after 4-5 moves. Not really a proper Dutch, not really a proper Stonewall, not really, I don't know what to say, not really a Grunfeld, not really a Slav, but a mix of 3-4 lines, and then B3.
All right, we got
So
a unique structure here. These guys are ready
I'm
to
pretty sure
make
this
something
position has
unique.
not. Yeah.
But it's Stonewall-esque to me.
Positional Stonewall, white has got 2 bishops instead of getting knight to e5. And I don't know what this bishop is doing here. Probably Toffee only knew one plan, to put minor piece here. And he just got bishop d6, and if knight moves, he wants to put bishop there. Sounds a bit funny. He's losing a pawn there if he captures like this.
Maybe he
And
wants
after
to.
c5.
Maybe he wants to just do that anyways, and then allow a knight takes and play afterwards.
Yeah, but
Okay.
he did not capture and did not go knight c4, otherwise he would have lost the bishop. But even like this, he can just get knight e7, knight f4, knight d7. And look, the bishop travels so long. And just to capture that, maybe worth it, because he got the fiancé bishop.
He got rid of his bad bishop. Look, that pawn's on.
Yeah, but the bishop was never bad. Like, if you see this position, the bishop is really doing good. Only this looks bad, but bishop has found its way. And now only thing he needs to do is just get the queen to g3, bring rook to the central files, and push e4. You win the game. You got 2 bishop advantage. I mean, I'm just saying white is slightly pleasant here, and with a very simple plan. Instead, he goes for some crazy idea.
Yeah. So, just for everyone's knowledge there. I think what Nubair's getting at is when you got the bishop here, you want to open the position. So he kind of did some weird maneuvers here, but really he could have just tried to open the position for his bishops, and his extra bishop should have given him a nice edge.
Yeah, that's the positional point here. And honestly speaking, I could not understand this game properly from Toffee's side of view. Like, I never understood whether he wanted to play on king side or queen side, whether he wanted to keep bishop pair and give bishop pair, or to do something. And then he allowed this attack on his own king. He tried to open with b5, but the a file is closed, and he has put rooks in the a file. So a lot of crazy, interesting things in this game. And now maybe he's winning a material for the first time in real if he does not go knight b8. And we have a sacrifice here. He cannot capture like this because this hangs. And after gf4, I don't know what's the move. Queen at 6, idea, checkmate. Really crazy stuff.
Does look a bit scary.
And now the brilliant bishop f3 comes in because there's no other defense. This is coming by force. We need to play bishop f3. And this looks losing to me. Yes, you do give a check, but how do you defend rook g8 next move? There's a rook h2 wow, just in time.
So it looks like.
But it not wrong. Takes.
So it looks
Can
like
I just
the knight sack was objectively correct then.
Yeah, for black definitely.
So impressive tactics by Thomas.
Yeah, I was just wondering about this move, but it doesn't really work. And also I was thinking about considering this idea where he has to go king here and some kind of f2, but the knight is very bad, but maybe he can play knight f6 here and this wins. But okay, there's some counterplay as well. So not so clear. Let's see what happened in the game after rook h2. He went queen f6, keeping it simple, but what if he just captures and captures?
He already got his piece back though, at least, so he's probably feeling good.
And we have got a new shot on c5 because the rook is hanging.
Nice.
And this is coming very, very badly. He must capture with the king because if queen f3, then the rook was entering inside. Now this is completely winning for black.
Thomas showing he's really tactically alert tonight. Another shot.
And the queen is about to get trapped, but wow. But it never got trapped.
But what about?
As I said, it was difficult to understand Toffee's play.
What about queen h? Can't you play queen h2 at this point?
Yeah, like again, like so many moves are winning. You just try to bring pieces. You just try to give a checkmate thread.
I guess maybe you can play
And
rook a2.
Yeah, right now rook a2 is coming, but like any move is not really winning, but close to winning. And what I didn't like is like Thomas allowed him to escape with some like queen h. I don't know how he escaped. Like it's really surprising, like to understand. But he did manage to escape here. This is not really winning yet because takes. Yes, this definitely mates, but he can go king f1 only, otherwise rook g1 was coming. After king f1, it's not really winning as he has king g1. And the pawn drops. Okay, you can win like this. You can convert in this fashion, but not convincing. So what went wrong? How he could have finished this properly? This looks perfect. 22. Yeah, he could have simply went rook g3 maybe here. And the idea was simply to win double. And if the rook comes to 7th rank, it will be game over for sure.
So it looks like he still had to be pretty precise. Oh, we lost the video feed, looks like.
But instead he went for some checkmate ideas, and now the king is running to d3. And there's a queen f1. And this is not really working because of rook a2. So some work needs to be done here. Maybe c5 is also possible.
So Torfi putting up some strong resistance despite looking like he was about to get tactically knocked out. So both players playing pretty well, it seems like. I mean, I've Torfi playing, making some weird decisions, but at the same time, he is defending pretty well.
Yeah. And another interesting way to finish this game off is rook b8, and if you capture, then there's a checkmate like this. And suddenly queen comes from here, and we have a checkmate. So rook b8 is an interesting option after that, after which white probably must play rook b1, and then your favorite queen h2 comes in. And the problem here is after queen e2, simply we can capture, and give a 4. So this could be one of the clean finish. Just go rook b8, and there is just no way for knight to come back. This mates in 1, surprisingly. And there is no rook b1 because of queen h2. So yeah, I think this is what he needs to play here. And he's thinking. So yeah, we have all of the games finished. Only these games are going on. So let's stick to this. And then maybe we'll review the rest of the games. What do you think? What Thomas will go here?
Yeah, I hope he finds rook b8. That makes sense to me. I also wouldn't be surprised to see queen h2.
Also, there is some kind of a c5, not the best move, but a possibility. Okay, maybe he's gonna take some time. Maybe he's finding checkmate. So let's have a look at
back to it.
this. Yeah, okay. So let's have a look at the short game between Darrell and Vincent.
All right.
This is from the open section where white tried to open with queen pawn opening with some e3 poisoning. And black just copied, so no poison. Stays okay. So far, so for both.
We got another passive opening as white. I feel like that's the theme of the night. Everyone's just feeling slow. No one wants to take my space. They're just like, black, you take. I know I've got the white pieces tonight, but you guys, you play white, I'll play black. It's all good.
And we saw one common pattern in the open section. People just want to play this for some reason, as irrespective of their win or lose, but they just want to copy this from everyone. And no matter they start with f4 or d4 or e3 and b3 or something, eventually they end up getting this structure. Okay, so here, if some kind of f6, there's a bishop h7, and some kind of queen h5. I don't know if checkmates or not, but it is possible. Maybe it's not winning yet. And then rook f1 is coming, but the problem is the g7 is very well defended by the knight. But again, a possible sacrifice, definitely. And a typical idea is, of course, to go bishop h7 and finish off the games.
I do see.
What did he play?
I see a lot of pieces kind of stranded on the queen side, so it feels like it does lend itself to attacking.
And yeah, the pressure was increasing. Yet he could have maybe just tried to bring knight or something. But instead he collapsed, he took the knight, and then now the dark squares become so bad. And okay, white just played slowly and probably must have got the bishop at some point to win this. And again, knight f6 was coming, so he has to give the bishop. But why he's giving a pawn? because anyway he was losing a pawn. Wow. So knight c4, a4.
So he's giving the bishop. I feel like bishop c1 there maybe is a little bit more prudent.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're getting ready to relocate it to the king side, plus you're staying far away from the knight and your pawn's still protected. But I guess, yeah, rook and bishop protect the pawn. That's seen two
And this is where things started going wrong for white. Like he was completely winning this game, but then instead of going for some attack on the king or getting queen to h6 or something, he went rook c1 and like just he could have gone like this. Instead, he went some kind of a rook f1 and he just lost the path. Like he did not play queen e3. He went knight e4 and it looks good, but he's losing a pawn here. And once this setup comes in, like it's impossible to checkmate black. He lost material and eventually losing a game. Like just pressure came in here and all pieces go okay. Like black even played this more. Look at the confidence level of black. He's like, no way I'm even playing this. He just want to win all of them and push them.
Even though he's got major pieces on, his king could potentially be in danger. He's saying, I don't want to deal with any
again, the thing is, he could have just played rook d1, only move this, and okay, you're winning. Like you go up, at least you give a check.
Doesn't that hang as a queen takes rook? Oh no.
When? So sorry. Yeah, it's hanging. My bad. So this was a comeback for white, and then this pawn is hanging here. He gets king f8, and now probably the same idea works if he captures the pawn. Rook d1, queen c5, so he must give a check, and then the king runs. Wow. Yeah. But what if he plays rook g3? There's a rook h4, just in time. A crazy game. No f4 yet, some checks. But is it really working? Yeah, maybe. And a checkmate. Wait, can he go here? But okay, nothing really. Come on, you can just give a check. You have queen, boy.
Yeah, he wants the winning pawn in game.
And he did not play 25 yet. King yet.
Okay, yes.
A crazy game, and finally, white blundered the rook to lose this one. Crazy game, but entertaining game.
Learning opportunity. You had a chance to attack on the king side, and mainly because that dark square bishop was gone. Those dark squares are weak. You still have your own dark square bishop, but also your queen can enter, and you got that rook on h3. So don't even mess with the queen side if you can avoid it, and see if you got some direct moves to finish the game off on the king side to start. Seems like the conclusion I'm getting from watching your analysis.
Yeah, so interesting game where Daryl could have won this, but it was Vincent who had the last laugh because he got the spawns, and then even he had so many weaknesses, white could not take advantage of it. He just needed to put queen e3, queen h6, and after knight h5, there is a d4. And if he plays h5, then okay, there are so many weaknesses. And then you can again reshuffle the pieces, try to get the knight in and deliver a checkmate somehow. For instance, you can even play something like this and just go queen h6. And the idea is to go like this. And it doesn't matter your opponent plays c4, cd4, you can ignore it. And just go knight g5 next. If f6, then this pawn hangs. So yeah, something like this was necessary. All right, let's go back to the only live game. What happened between Thomas and Toffee and Thomas?
Looks like it's still ongoing.
Yeah, but he had... okay, so no update. Okay. We have players on the camera, right?
The camera, actually, we lost the camera feed, so...
Okay.
But all those boards are done anyways. Looks like it was mainly boards 1 and 2 on camera. But we haven't touched on board 4 at all yet. Maybe we want to just go through that game a little bit.
Sure. So we have more or less all the results. We'll give them the shout out one by one. So first we did see the game between Connor and Hoover, where Connor played a beautiful game. AD was very clean throughout. A nice game by AD. This game, I believe, Babcock Thomas won with either of Rook B8 or Queen H2 idea or something like that, or C5. And now let's have a look at the game between Agam and Robert, the most entertaining player of our club. Go Z4 and C4, both.
No F4, no F4 C4 this time though. He's throwing a Z4.
Yeah. Last time he got harmed, like he harmed his king. So this time he's like, okay, let's not harm the king. Now it's queen's turn.
Look, we're getting that. we're getting that McKeenis through a strange move order. You know, we already discussed this earlier today.
Yeah, but this is definitely the wrong move order for white. Allowing D4, C5, E5, everything. And okay, he lost this game. Look, he allowed everything. Look how long the bishop traveled. Like it traveled the miles and only to improve black's pieces. And now imagine if this happens, how bad is that? Like there's no way you could prevent it. Like we play A3, he still plays knight D4. So you have no option but to go there. And okay, this doesn't win on the spot because after a castle knight C2 this will be one, but definitely not good for white. Like look at this.
So black.
This is
well, and black is going to lose this game. So he's showing a pretty dominant opening, but we see what happens in chess games. His calculation comes down to it at the end. So let's see what happens here.
Yeah, I think very good, very good. I'm impressed with Agam's play so far. But wait. Whenever I say something good about someone, they just end up playing bad moves. So it was like this. Now he could have played this move, for instance, to keep it very, very simple, like we capture and you come back again. And right now you're threatening to win a pawn, so he must play this. You capture. Okay, if you capture, it's bad, knight C2. Whatever you capture with queen or king, you got to go back again here. And this is a much better version of the same thing which you played in the game. Like you already have knight here, and there is no one to challenge the knight, not attack the pawn. So winning, more or less. But instead, what he did, he captured and did not play knight before. And he had a chance to play A3, but okay, he's also not playing because of some reasons. Could have played, but I don't know why. Maybe just knight A5 loses some material. It goes like this. Now he plays A3. And now, in my opinion, black just could have tried to play rook G8, G6, and then knight D4 or whatever he wanted to do. Like the king is weak, just open up the position and you win the game. Instead, he went knight D4, blocking his own pawn's path. And now after capture, I think he's losing even because the pawn is cannot be defended properly. Again, not little bit surprised not to see rook F3 on the board. It was winning the pawn on the spot. Instead, he goes F3. The B4 comes in. I don't understand. One move is this side, other move is this side.
Yeah, I feel like it's just not in Robert's nature to just collect a pawn like that and win an endgame. He wants peace activity. He wants tactics.
Yeah, he never bothered about this. He's like, this is my pawn.
There's no pawn grabbing in his toolkit.
In his blood. only giving, sacrificing, sacrificing.
Exactly. So yeah,
and I really
if you're playing Robert, you want to just get into collect mode and let him give him a juicy looking sacrifice, and he'll probably make it happen.
I just feel so bad for this pawn. Like he cannot go anywhere, and no one is even caring or bothering about it. Like he's at the D3, he's like sitting in front of the king, but no one is even bothering about it. Like no one is even saying hi, attacking him. It has got just no job, even after progressing so much.
That does bring up a good point. I do feel like chess, we do have a language problem when we're analyzing games. We're always calling pieces stupid and stuff like that. I mean, how do you think that makes the pieces feel? You know, they're just trying their best.
And now the king comes to d3. And Robert has all the time in the world to do whatever mannering he has. He has got space on the king side. He has got space on the queen side. He has got something nice in the center to break up with. So he has got all the time. He moves his pieces to the left and right, and then decides to break with d5. Like here, for example, he just takes this and it's winning. Like he's just winning. Like he just captures everything and is winning this game. Like you just capture on this and go king b4, game over. But instead, what he does, he plays, legend plays a6. He's like, doesn't matter anyway, I'm gonna win this. Oh wow, he's not capturing the f6. Come on, you are up a pawn, just trade pieces. Okay, Robert has his own way of doing things. And in fact, he can just play this move. And okay, just trade even. And if he plays like this, okay, you still have got enough time on, like, to win this. Like take b5, and this is very basic pawn break. And even if the king comes, you have got all the time to win this because the king is not in the square.
Interesting.
But instead he does, Robert does Robert thing. He went. This is Mandela's or game. This is the game. And then he plays g5. Okay, eventually he does the same thing, but he could have started with through b7, but okay.
Well, I feel like this was an interesting one, pretty well played by both players because Ronan, Robert doing his usual weird opening thing, Ronan actually punishing that pretty well up to a point, and then making some inaccuracies like we all potentially do, and Robert taking over from that point and showing some at least decent rook endgame technique, or showing the risks of an overextended pawn, even though it was really not overextended. It was useful for most of the middle game, but
absolutely, I would agree with you. I would give win to Ronan until the middle game play, until this point, like until he played this knight d4 thing. He could have just played like this and won the game. So until this point, the win is to Ronan. But after this thing happened, I mean, it's all Robert's game. Like the way he played it is just beautiful. And yeah, very good conversion. Again, there were better ways, but he did every single thing he wanted to do, and then even this is not capturing on f6 and converting in his own clean way. So well played to both the players, 50-50.
yeah, unfortunately, it's the person who makes the last mistake
Has to lose the game.
chess, but I'd say both sides had something to say in this game.
Yeah, and we started getting feed of the only live game which is going on. So he did not play rook b8 nor c5. He went rook g3 with the idea of what really? Maybe just queen g4, rook g2, rook h1, rook a2, sorry, rook f3, and maybe he just wants to enter like this. Yes, he lost a pawn. And I don't know what he's trying to do. If he fails to checkmate, it's not easy for white. I mean, it's not, maybe he checkmates, but if he fails to do so, let's say queen f5, rook d1, and now there are moves like king e2, and this is what I'm worried about. So now you have to, okay, sorry, queen f1 is a mate. King c2, let's say. And luckily king b3 is queen e3, and for this also there's a mate. So maybe Babcock calculated correctly, but there was just no need to do all this, You are risking a bit too much. The queen is coming inside, may come inside, I mean. And we have this position on the board currently. So if rook d1 check comes, of course, White wins this, black wins this. Yeah, it's game over. Rook d1 check, and I hope he does not blunder like I did. And yeah, it is game over. Whatever you play.
Well, this looks like on the way to well earned by Thomas, especially after seeing a few big tactical shots. It would be a tragedy if he didn't convert this.
All right, until let's see the game from the open section, board 1 or board 5, between Norman and Sri Jan. Vaidyanathan. So again, some as I say, yeah, this is there a theme this week? That white player will always play like this.
Yeah, come on, Stonewall guys. You're making your bishop bad. This is just a bad version of French. Or a bad version of
Yeah,
London, I mean.
I think it's the worst version of chess.
Yeah, we got
You should
enough.
not have your bishop to this extent.
Yeah, we got to start an anti-Stonewall club. No, just kidding. But
Guys, you heard it wrong. Chess is,
where's all the E4 and D4 main lines? Come on, guys.
yeah, just see the premier section game, guys. Just see the games from the premier section. Get inspired and play just like them. Do not see the board next to you and copy them. So
Yeah, I think maybe some of it is mentally. This is a 3-hour game. People really want to make sure that they get all the openings safe and don't lose the white pieces. But nothing ventured, nothing gained.
So guys, next time you play the c3 f4, just think once about the bishop.
Okay, well,
Just
Norm.
once.
Hey, Norm, it's fair. This is everyone else. Norm actually plays this every week. He's a consistent Stonewall main, so everyone else is kind of copying Norm. We probably should have looked at his game first.
Yeah, but he needs to say hi to the bishop, someday. Like
Yeah.
it's just not working. Like the relation between bishop and the king. Like like the king says, like, this is my favorite one, and this I don't care. Like this is not gonna work. You have to help your pieces so that they help you during the game. And if you block them like this,
another example of a stupid piece, but he's just trying his best, and we're not trying to bully him. So it's okay. It's okay, dark square bishop. I know you're not going to probably see too much prospects this game, but we know you're trying your best.
one day your time will also come. One day, for sure. And there's a famous quote saying, chess is war over the board. But when I see the games of open section, I feel like chess is wall over the board.
Yep.
So
it's just the stone wall.
Like the first 4 games of the premier section is like total war going on there, and in the open section, like total walls. Sometimes stone, sometimes some other bricks. I don't know. And okay.
Well, we haven't seen any games from Andrew, others we see some Polish. He hasn't been on DGT lately.
Come on, what's going on? Look at this. They traded some pieces. Okay, fine. The way how they traded somehow. I mean, first of all, like he should not capture with the he should capture with the pawn only, but somehow this pawn is hanging after takes, so no option left. He cannot capture with this pawn because knight b4 is coming. Wrong timing for white. Then black should not capture this because it will improve white's pawn structure. Maybe just capture and go queen d7, queen c7. But instead he goes queen c7, and now he could play f5, some knight move, anything is fine, but not g3. Like you're weakening so much. And to this, how do you know how this region replies? He plays g5. He's like, this is not weakness. This is the real weakness.
Yeah, it seems.
It is so funny.
It seems a bit unnecessary, but he sees those pawns. He wants to get at that king. It looks a little weak. He's got the battery. I can see his logic at least. He wants to get at g3.
But you're having your own kings left, buddy, and then the best part of this game is white does not capture back. He defends it.
Yep, the threat is stronger than the execution. Yeah, that's also I feel like a little bit of what goes on a lot in chess would, but is definitely a mistake is people trust in your opponent. You got to have like low respect for your opponent. Be respect them of course, but low respect for their moves, right? Um, you always want to be thinking your opponent blundered, your opponent's making positional mistakes. Make those judgments for yourself because you trust your opponent too much. You're never going to be able to punish anybody.
Yeah, and again, there are like so many moves which means like queen c4, and you try to enter like this, or you play queen d and try to come like this and win the pawn or whatever. But instead, we again see one more wall here, and they just want to make this like whether you play white, you play black, you're up a queen or not, they just want to make a wall. And
Nothing's coming in. Nothing's coming in.
I think we should start giving prizes to people who does not make a wall in the game. You know, I think we should. I mean, we need to
You don't
have a
even.
special prize. Like there are 5 games. Yeah, they play like 4 to 5 games. The people with the less because I'm pretty sure they'll at least make a wall in one of the games.
Yeah,
So we should give award to the person who make the least number of walls in a game.
and they don't. In this position, black doesn't even have a knight to kind of
So they are like
sink
in
in,
charge.
but
So
this
we
still
should
should be
be
conversion phase, right?
draws in like elite chess. They started giving a prize called the sorry, hello.
We're breaking up a tiny bit, but I think we're recovering here.
Uh-huh. Okay, so I was saying like there was a prize for the people who used to fight or who had the greatest fighting index. Like if you make a draw, you lose so many points. Like if you make draw in 10, 20 moves, you lose a lot of points in the drawing index. And here, like we should make a something like this. If you make a wall, you lose points. So we need a prize here for making the less number of walls.
Yeah, I remember that came out. I think
And like in maybe in
David
open session,
Smirnin released that or something, and I'm pretty sure
uh,
Kovalenko was towards the top of that.
is the stream working well? I think I can see some problem here.
Yeah, we're having a
Mm-hmm.
little bit of lag on our call, but I think it's
Lag.
resolving itself. Yeah, yeah. I think it might be. It's probably my internet. My apartment's internet is not ideal, but
I think it will be resolved soon.
yeah, yeah. It's pretty much.
And
We've
okay,
had
we
a
have
little
finally.
bit of lag, but we're pretty much good now, from what I can tell.
Okay, and this is how the game ended between Norman Marin and Srijan Vaidyanathan, resulting in Srijan's win and the end
Nice force mate.
because he was the last person to make a stone wall.
So it turned out.
So that's a new conclusion here in the open session. The person who makes last stone wall wins the game.
It wasn't exactly relevant, but he still, hey, he kept the lines open to his maiden attack at the end. So, and
All right, we
that
have
was a
got
nice
to
start.
touch on Ronan's game. I mean, in Thomas' game, uh, he did win in the same fashion which we discussed.
Okay.
Yeah, if he goes up, the e3 was hanging, and if he goes down, f1 was made. And he resigned after this because he realized there are 2 ways in which black can actually deliver checkmate. So, okay, we finished with all the games from the premier section. We did see this game. We did see the Roberts game as well. We just saw the game of Srijan. Yeah, this was another interesting game where Budapest failed between Nathan and Jeremy, resulting in Nathan's clean victory. About Vincent and Darrell, I think we lost it somewhere here. Yeah, so we saw this game until certain point. I think we finished this game as well. Yeah, are we live?
Yes, we're live. Sorry about that.
Yeah, yeah. So 25, King f4, and yeah, so it was not the greatest king walk. Like it was here made in 1, but instead we had some game here and some flex here,
Yes.
and in the end resulting in black's victory. So it's Vincent in in the open section, as well as it's Vincent in the freestyle chess who is winning games.
Yes, because Vincent's Keimer just beat Magnus. Is
Yeah, he
what's
beat Magnus in the series, and he did beat Fabi in the first round of the finals as well.
did he?
So yeah, he just crushed Fabi. Like, it was so surprising. Like,
Oh, so
just like he finished Magnus off the game, like he beat so convincingly. Like, it's not like they blundered or they made mistake. He just outplayed them totally.
yeah, it's kind of funny. I mean, Magnus is like, I'm sick of this classical chess. Let's go play 960 or freestyle chess. Thinking I'm just gonna finally no more openings. I'll get to crush everybody again, and then he's losing to Vincent.
Yeah, we did see like the downfall of, not really downfall, but let's say, I mean, we have so used to see Hikaru Magnus winning, every tournament or every single game they play. So maybe downfall is little bit too much to say, but we did see Magnus, Hikaru, even Aronian, and all the players who were losing in the knockouts to like Sinjarov, who else, Vincent and all. Like, but they did make a comeback in the final knockout. Like yesterday, Magnus did beat Sinjarov very easily with black pieces even after losing to Vincent. We did see Hikaru first beating Gukesh, and then yesterday he also beat Abdusatro, if I'm not wrong, after losing to Sinjarov.
Yeah,
So they actually come back in the final day of the tour.
Yeah, and Hikaru's despairing. He's talking. I watched some videos, and he's talking about retiring. He says if he doesn't play well in Norway chess, he's going to retire. So
Yeah,
and his logic is it's not about the blunders; it's the fact that he's not winning positions he thinks he should win 99% of the time. But then the
yeah,
commentator,
that's the yeah.
sorry, last point. The commentator replied though, like, well, actually, she thinks it's a feature of 960 because I guess all over the place people were totally losing positions that you think were totally one-sided and just conversion phase. And so I guess that's happening all over. So maybe it is just a facet of the technique in 960 is not quite the same either. But yeah, it goes to show chess is cruel because even a player as strong as Hikaru just has a couple bad moments losing with some bad blunders and is already talking about retiring.
Yeah, it's very true. Like, no matter if you are a beginner or you just started chess or like a week ago or something, or if you are absolute best in the world, whether it's Magnus, Hikaru, losing definitely hurts. Whenever you lose, it hurts. It hurts. It is so, it gets so cruel. Like, if you do not win, it hurts. Like, or even if you make 5 draws in a row, it hurts. So, as they say, like, the game of chess is not for the lighthearted people. So you need to be really very, very strong, mentally, physically, everything. Because we did see, like, yesterday, Fabi playing 7.5 hours to beat Sindarov in the semis. Like, Sindarov was playing absolute best. Like, he did so well throughout the prelims or the round robin section. He did beat everyone almost. He did come in top. Then he lost last 2 games to get second, to get paired against Hikaru. Then he did beat Hikaru very fair and square. And then he was almost about to beat Fabi. Like, he was winning firstly in the classical section. That somehow he didn't try. Then he was winning the rapid game 1. Also, he was winning there somehow. He had a lead. Somehow Fabi won, strike back. Then they went into Armageddon. And there also, Fabi somehow managed to win it. Like, so no doubt, Sinjaro played very good chess, but it was also very nice to see Fabi fighting for 7.5 hours and not giving up, finally, making use of his all experience to, somehow be there at the top. I mean, we have all these Magnus, Hikaru, Fabi, Aroni, and all these guys are like so great. I'm sorry if I'm missing someone's name, but all these, these legends, experienced players, none of them actually was making tours in the top 4 or, top half. But somehow Fabi did manage to get better of the kids. Let's put it like this. But yesterday he also got smashed because, when you play so long a day before, like 7.5 hours, or like, you burn so much energy. And in chess 960, as they all say, like, you need to start thinking from move 1. And basically you have to just get position like 10 minutes before the game. and you need to figure out everything, like from the beginning, where to develop knight, where to develop bishops, what plan to work, which plan is wrong. And it's very easy, like if you do not pay attention, like in 5-10 moves, you could get losing position. We saw this happening to Magnus, Hikaru, even Fabi yesterday. And of course, it will more happen to the kids because they are less experienced. For example, Gukesh, he is just 18. He has not even played the enough classical chess, like compared to the other guys. Like, okay, he's a world champion, but you cannot buy experience just by becoming a world champion. It will come only with the age. So we could see that he's struggling and not able to do that well because he has got all the skills, but he has not got the experience. So you need experience to play this, but also the game goes like 7 to 8 hours. Then we could see even people like Hikaru not able to convert winning positions, which he absolutely culminates in like more or less every game. So there are some pros and cons, and one needs to find the right balance to get better of all of them. Is what I think.
Well, they're all like, oh man, chess is too worked out. We don't like the opening theory, but everyone's starting to make jokes that the opening theory is not going to stop just with 960, and then it's a bit of a joke, but also kind of true because yeah, Nish is already joking about making a chessable course. 5 minutes on each position. You could do it, and so yeah, it'll be kind of funny. And they actually do say Fabi is the best prepared. I don't know how well prepared you can be in 960, but they think that he's actually put some work in preparation.
No doubt, Fabi is one of the best players in the world. No doubt about classical chess, or let's say 960. He has got great skills. He has got very good positional understanding. No doubt, he works hard. He has played the world championship match and everything. He was world number 2 for so long. Also, he was maybe the 3rd highest rated player in the history. So no doubt, he's super great. But it's just Magnus, who outplays somehow everyone in the end game and get better off everyone somehow. So he's a world champion. But Fab is also, I think, very, very close. And it would be interesting to see him making a comeback today with the white pieces in the final so that we can witness more rapid blitz and more fun.
Yeah, and Fabi's who everyone picks their pet lines on, based on what I've found. I feel like every time I see a sharp pet line, all of a sudden there's a Fabi game there. I'm like, oh, it makes sense. This guy just found, everyone likes to copy Fabi's openings. And Fabi has played sharp, he's tried everything sharp once, feels like. So, yeah, Fabi is definitely a lot more accessible for club players to emulate his openings too, in my opinion. Magnus is trying to surprise his opponents, right? And same with Hikaru, for the most part. They're just trying to surprise their opponents, and Fabi's more playing with just main ideas rather than playing for surprise value. And it's a lot easier for a club player to play with a better position than it is to try to just play with a totally equal position and outplay it, which Hikaru and Magnus can do, but not so easy to do at club level.
I absolutely agree with you. Like, Fabi is easy to understand comparatively. What Hikaru does is, or why Hikaru has so large fan base is because, what he does, only he understands. Most of the times, even his opponent does not understand what he's doing. So for, let's say, if someone is beginner or his fans or any other people, it's very hard to understand. And the way he swindles or the way he tricks or he's one of the greatest streamer of all time. And that's what makes him special. Like, people don't understand what he does. And even he has tricked with the best players or the previous world champions as well. So that's his strength. But from understanding perspective, yes, it's Fabi whose opening are easy to understand, or whatever he plays is always more or less logical chess. What Magnus does is just magic. He does magic sometimes in the end game, sometimes in the middle game, or sometimes from absolute lost positions. So that's the Magnus factor, and it's great to see all these players, fighting with each other, and that gives all the chess world great, games to see. It's really entertaining to watch these players out.
Perfect. Well, I think we got through all the games. So, do we have anything else we want to cover before the end of the stream?
No, I think that's all. And this was the last game, I think, where Jacob and his, debut did a very good job here, winning a clean game against Mish. And that's all, guys. We have, I think, for the first time, all decisive games on all eight boards.
Wow.
We have got two
Bullshit.
1-0s and 2-0-1s in Premier section, as well as 2-1-0 and 2-0-1 in the Premier section. So, guys, we have complete equality here with white and black pieces. No draws. A great day of chess, I think.
All right. Well, don't forget tomorrow's Valentine's Day, so give you guys a reminder there. And yeah, if anyone wants to also do a plug for our puzzles group, if anyone wants to join myself, Connor, and Mitch, Sullivan, think like a super grandmaster, just go ahead and let Connor and Mitch know at the club, or else shoot me an email at chesscastlelive@gmail. And yeah, otherwise we'll be back next week. We're gonna have Nubair back again next week, so very lucky we'll have him all month. And oh yeah, I wanted to make one more announcement. Next month, Nubair is not going to be here, but we will have, at least for a couple weeks, local national master. Okay, so he's a very consistent winner of weekend tournaments and strong local master here. So we'll get a new face on the channel in March. So, but yeah, we'll be back. The same two commentators will be back next week and the final week in February. So thank you for tuning in, and we really appreciate your commentary, Nubair, and all the viewers. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you guys so much, and have a good night.